At 26, Erling Haaland led Norway to their first World Cup in 28 years, but the world knows only half the story. The cyborg. The machine that scores and scores and never seems to feel the weight of it. While the football world argued about numbers, how many goals in a season, and how many records could fall, it quietly forgot the simpler truth. Behind the finisher is a boy from a small town who was never trying to become a symbol at all. Headlines reached for the easy comparisons. The next great number 9, the heir to a lineage of pure strikers. Brands saw a face that could sell boots, fill stadiums, and anchor a global story far larger than the person himself. The cameras tried to define him through expected goals charts, transfer fees, and broken records. But watch closely, and Haaland keeps pointing somewhere else. When he crossed his legs and lowered himself into that calm, seated celebration, arms resting, eyes almost closed, it looked like showmanship. It wasn't. It was a young man deliberately slowing the world down in the one moment everyone expected him to lose control. And in the summer of 2026, when Norway finally reached the World Cup for the first time in 28 years, ending an absence that stretched back to 1998, the name stitched across his back said everything the goals never could. Not just Haaland, Braut Haaland. His mother's name carried onto the biggest stage in the sport. It was not a marketing choice. It was a declaration that fame could enlarge his world without earning the right to rewrite where he came from. Before the records, Erling's story was measured in long Scandinavian winters, family discipline, and an indoor pitch where a group of kids waited out the cold. Born on July 21, 2000, Salm in Leeds, England, Erling Braut Haaland arrived while his father was still playing in the Premier League. But England was only the setting of his birth, not the shape of his childhood. When his father's playing career ended, the family returned home, to Bryn, a small rural town in southwestern Norway, roughly 20 miles south of Stavanger, a place far removed from the polished world of elite European football. Daily life there followed an ordinary rhythm: school, the local club, friends, and the slow patience that a small town teaches. Erling grew up at the intersection of two athletic worlds. His father, Alf Inge Alfie Haaland, had been a professional footballer, a tough, versatile midfielder and defender who represented Nottingham Forest, Leeds United, and Manchester City, and played for Norway at the 1994 World Cup. His mother, Gry Marita Braut, was a national champion heptathlete, an athlete built for a discipline that demands speed, power, endurance, and technical skill across 7 brutal events. Before those origins became part of his public sporting story, they shaped the family and the town supporting his earliest ambitions. One detail reveals more than any highlight reel. Erling's parents, both former elite athletes, never pushed him toward football. His father made sure he tried a whole range of sports first: handball, athletics, cross-country skiing. Coaches told him he could have made a career in handball. The talent was never forced. It was allowed to choose itself. Years later, when he honored his mother by wearing her name at a World Cup, that childhood remained visible. The heptathlete's son, carrying her forward into the stadium lights. It was not merely branding, it was a reminder of the pace and power people love to credit to genetics, and the parent who actually gave them to him. At 15, Haaland was promising enough to join the senior roster of Bryn FK, his local club in Norway's second tier. The following year, he left home to sign for Molde in the country's top division, a club that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was managing during his second stint in charge, having returned to the role in 2015. Solskjaer, a man who understood exactly what a young striker needed, was still at the helm when Haaland arrived in 2017. On the local pitches and indoor courts of Bryn, the game had been immediate and instinctive, shaped by available space, the movement of friends, and the simple pleasure of scoring. As he climbed, that childhood game gradually became disciplined work. Coaches, tactical instruction, physical development, and constant evaluation about whether promise could survive at the next level. His childhood did not abruptly end, but its rhythm changed. Over time, his individual style developed the recognizable patterns that would later terrorize senior defenders. The devastating first step, the way he attacked the space between and behind center backs, timing his run to the exact half second the ball was released. The economy of it, one touch to kill the ball, one to finish, nothing wasted. What eventually looked robotic beneath stadium lights had been strengthened through years of repetition. The public record reveals an extraordinary rise. At Molde, he announced himself with a stunning individual haul early in his career. Then came Red Bull Salzburg, where the goals multiplied and Europe finally noticed. In January 2020, he joined Borussia Dortmund and scored a hat trick after coming off the bench on his debut, the kind of arrival that feels scripted. By the summer of 2022, the distance between prodigy and superstar had closed. Manchester City signed him, the club his father had once represented, a detail that carried real weight for a son who grew up watching clips of Alfie's career. Under Pep Guardiola, a manager whose system demanded intelligence and movement as much as instinct, Haaland didn't just fit, he thrived in ways that surprised even the most measured analysts. What followed was almost unfair. In his debut season, Haaland won the Continental Treble, the Premier League, the FA Cup, and the Champions League, and rewrote the Premier League record books, claiming the Golden Boot with 36 league goals and setting the mark for most goals by any player across all competitions in one campaign. The trophies followed in waves: league titles, domestic cups, the kind of sustained excellence that makes careers feel inevitable in retrospect. Yet the response, when you listen to him, keeps placing the achievement inside something larger than himself. He speaks about his parents, about making them proud, about a football life that is special, precisely because it is temporary, a decade, maybe, and then it becomes history. So, the moments are meant to be enjoyed together, not hoarded alone. Before he entered his first major international tournament in 2026, he had been asked over and over to be a finished product, a guaranteed number, a brand. The 16 qualifying goals he had scored to drag Norway to that World Cup were treated as a statistic rather than a story. Alongside Captain Martin Odegaard, who orchestrated so much of what Norway built through those qualifying nights, Haaland carried a nation's weight and its hope into a tournament it had been absent from since 1998. Norway's manager Ståle Solbakken had built something patient and purposeful around two of the country's greatest modern footballers, and the tournament confirmed it. Instead of simply fulfilling expectations, Haaland wore his mother's name onto the pitch, ended a nation's 28-year absence, and reminded everyone that the finisher they call a machine was assembled somewhere very human: a small Norwegian town, two athlete parents who refused to push, and a boy who simply wanted to be the best in the world, and told himself so before anyone else believed it. The distance between Brine and the largest stadiums on Earth is enormous, but the name across his shoulders suggested that distance had never erased his sense of belonging. Every goal connected the striker, followed by millions, with the kid on the indoor pitch, waiting out the winter, keeping the ball close to his feet.